Have you ever failed your goals so much to the point that you thought to yourself, will I ever break through? This video is going to be just for you. I have the honor of presenting this information that took me from being broken to experiencing breakthroughs in my life, my business, and my self-confidence, and shared it at our company conference, and it impacted thousands of lives. And I wanted to be able to share that with you as well too. So be sure to watch this, and towards the end, I'd love to hear your comments below as well. And please share this with anyone that you feel that this can bless as well.
Well, our next speaker is truly one of my favorites, if I can say that, both he and his beautiful wife. They are chair people. He is the leader of the Warrior Movement. Yeah. And if you've not been on TikTok, this guy is the pro. I'll tell you what, he is fun to watch on TikTok. He's gotten kicked off a few times. It's been quite dramatic, right? And he is just an incredible person. Many people say that he's very inspiring. He's very overcoming. His story is really transformational. He's a young man. But I'll tell you what I love about this young man is that when he's with you, he's all with you. And when you're talking to him, he's completely engaged with you. And that is, in my opinion, one of the most effective ways of leading and loving people and building our businesses is when we're with people, be all with them. And that this young man is a beautiful example of that. Please rise to your feet and welcome Mr. James Zheng.
Lions in the wild.
What's up, NewAge fam? Who here is here today because you honestly can say you have a dream that you desperately want to achieve? Each and every single one of us have different ones. You might be sick and tired of that day job and you're coming back home drained. You're not even able to spend the time with your loved ones that you want to do. Maybe there's some of us here that who here has had an incredible transformation with any of our NewAge product, and you got to share that out there. Now, how about you? But we're partway through this convention, and what happens is you get this glimpse of a dream, you get pumped up, you get inspired, you hear all the speakers, and then you get out of here, you take an action, and then all of a sudden, it seems like a challenge seems to come up every single time. I'm going to call them excuses here, but not the bad excuses. They're legitimate, aren't they? We get busy with life. Maybe it's the fears, maybe it's the worries, maybe it's anxiety. And then you know what happens? We come to another event, don't we? And then we go see another Zoom call, don't we? We get pumped and fired up and we move again. And then all of a sudden, challenge happens again. And I don't know if you've ever been here, but I was there so many times. You did this over and over and over again, and eventually you think to yourself, will I ever break through? Who here has ever experienced that before? My goal today is that I'm going to share with you something that helped me go from broken to being able to experience breakthroughs in my business, my life, and my self-confidence as well too. So I'm talking about mindset, actions over excuses, and this concept changed my life. Now, you might be laughing at this. It's a stick figure that a two-year-old could draw. Why this changed my life is there's a saying that if you know the truth will set you free. So if you understand this I heard from a guy named Bob Proctor. And why it's important is I didn't know why I kept on doing the things that I didn't want to do rather than things that I wanted to do. There's a difference of knowing and doing. In fact, hear this quote that Bob Proctor says, most of us are confronted with the same challenge every day. We're doing things we don't want to do, getting results we don't want to get, and for some strange reason, we continue to do them anyway. Why this is important is if you understand why you take the actions you do and why you don't take the actions you don't want to do, you can then experience breakthrough. So let's define this real quick. Who here believes that your mindset has anything to do with the result that you achieve from your life? We have a conscious mind. Now, if you're not familiar with these terms, conscious mind is our thinking mind. It's our logical mind. It's the mind that you're using right now to hear this conversation. The subconscious mind, though, that is where all of our habits are. That's also where our deeply held beliefs about everything we do have in life happens as well, too. And the thing that happens is this: most of our actions in our life are determined not by what we're thinking consciously, it's by subconscious habit. Who here drives a car every now and then, right? Imagine you're driving the car and all of a sudden, have you ever had those daydreaming moments and you're like, oh my gosh, and you snap back to reality and you somehow end up at your destination, right? You're like, what's going on? How did I get here? Did I hit someone on the way over, right? Most of our actions are subconscious. So when we're dealing with taking action over excuses, you have to understand this. This is the issue that most of us are facing. We want to have the dream. We want to have the breakthrough. But what happens is our subconsciously held belief is maybe I'm too busy with kids. I got a full-time job and I just can't put time into my business. Maybe it's, I tried that social media thing and they're just so good. I never get engagement. It's way too complicated. Maybe it's, I heard it earlier with Mark Wilson. Maybe it's, I'm too old to do something like this. So this is what ends up happening, all right? We're in bondage. We come on stage and you see all these panel speakers. You get inspired and you say, maybe I can dream again. Maybe I can be on stage. Maybe I can be recognized. Maybe I can go towards those. And you're super excited, right? This is what happens. You see, Y is the new idea. X is what you actually believe. And here is the conflict. You try to think the different thing. You come to an event like this and you get inspired and then you do take the action. I like to describe this process. You have a new idea in your subconscious, but then you're fighting with the old one. I describe this part of conflict as in mental puberty. And what I mean by that is this is while you want to take the new action with the new mind state, you're still fighting with the old you, right? Your voice is cracking. You're getting these weird acne spots, all these different things, right? And what happens is you start getting these doubts because you're not yet there. And what happens every single time, I wonder if you go through a goal and you go through this, you hit this big old wall, this big old challenge called the terror barrier, and it slams you right to the floor and you're tempted to go all the way back. How do you get over this? Two things. Number one, awareness. Awareness. The dark is only afraid if it's dark, right? If you don't know what's there. So if you understand that every single time you're going to a new level in your life and you know that this will happen, then you know what happens? Just know the next time, maybe you'll chuckle to yourself. James, I'm just going through mental puberty. You're like, I think that'll shock you out of it, right? Just know you are not yet there. You're still moving towards that direction. So awareness is number one. Number two is inspired action. I have some homework. You guys down for some homework this weekend? Assignments, okay? Any single time you have an inspired idea, an inspired thought, anything that kind of hits you, jot it down and have an intention to take action on that as soon as possible. You have to face the fear and be able to move towards that. Why? Because as you continue to think the new thoughts, and as you continue to act out with that new belief of who you want to be, you become that person that you know that you need to become. And I'll tell you this, I'll just end with this story. I remember there was a day not too long ago that I was going through this whole vicious cycle. I hit the terror barrier way too much. I was sitting in an audience just like this. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a breakthrough. And I looked to my wife straight in the eyes. And it was the first time in my life I uttered these words. I said, I give up. And then I learned about these concepts. And then I started to grow in that awareness. And then I started to continue to take that action. And all those thoughts that we all have, right? The limiting, the beliefs, the fears, the guilt, the worry, the stresses of life that are actually very, very real. I remember I kept on going through this process and said, this time is going to be different because I understand how this works. And one day, and this will happen for you as well too, you wake up and those gnawing voices that keep on telling you can't do it, you're not enough, you're not worthy, you're not deserving. You don't hear them anymore. And instead, you only hear the new belief of who you are, because you confronted this terror barrier and you entered into what we call freedom. And I want to end with this. Every single one of you, I believe when you go through this process, when you dare to dream again, when you move towards your goals, there are people out there the dream is not for you to have. The dream is for you to be able to impact and share with others. And whether it's on a big stage like this, or it's in a one-on-one phone conversation with your friend or your prospect, they're waiting for each and every single one of us to be able to break through that terror barrier, have freedom, so we can show them what this new age lifestyle is all about. Stand up with me if you're ready to break through and you're dare to dream. You with me?
If this was helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you're not following me on my social medias, be sure to follow me on all my platforms. Would love to connect.